Hello, I'm Matthew Waterhouse. I'm coming to Australia in March 2025, and I'm going to be in Sydney, I'm going to be in Melbourne, I'm going to be in Adelaide. So I hope to see you then. Cheers. Bye.
G'day audiophiles, this is the Sirens of Audio, the show that explores the universe of Doctor Who in the audio medium and other cult TV. There you go, Philip, it's been so long I forgot the intro line. How are you?
Yeah, I'm Dwayne and I'm Philip. G'day, Dwayne. How are you going? You forgot to keep going.
Did I?
You forgot the whole I'm Dwayne. You're supposed to say I'm Dwayne, I'm supposed to say I'm Philip. I said g'day, Dwayne, g'day, audiophiles. There you go.
I am.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for that. Good to see you, Philip. How things been? We've had Janet Fielding in Australia once again, at this time in a different city in Canberra. How did that all go?
It was lovely being in the Capital Territory with Janet Fielding. She was her usual erudite self. Had lots. Actually, I'm a bit worried about her at the moment because she's currently in Brisbane texting me messages about the cyclone coming towards her. And wow. So she was, last time there was a cyclone that hit Brisbane was 1976, and she was there as well. And she was telling me stories of the flooding and the dead dogs and cats floating down the street that she had to walk through. And so I've been getting stories from her, and so I'm getting texts about. Okay. Yeah. So anyhow, so for those of you who are listening, this would have happened by now. A cyclone's heading towards Brisbane, and you'll know whether or not it hit and how much damage it did. But we're just waiting to hear. Which it's very far south for a cyclone. They don't usually travel anywhere down near that as far south as this one is, and so it's causing lots of concern. It's been a big hassle for work as well. But yeah, I am great. Janet at the moment is safe, and we had a lovely weekend in Canberra. Friend of the podcast, Todd, and his husband Ash were with us, and they were marvelous. And yeah, there's a fantastic group of fans that came and gathered in Canberra. We had some Daleks there. Janet just put a brilliant show as always. It was just a really lovely time.
So, with that in mind, in a couple of weeks' time, we have Matthew Waterhouse coming to join us in a few different cities. We're starting off in Melbourne on the 22nd and 23rd of. So, 22nd is a VIP, and 23rd will be the event. And then the following weekend, we're doing Adelaide on the Saturday and Sydney on the Sunday. So that'll be very exciting. If you want to get your tickets to see Matthew Waterhouse in person with us, just go to sirensofaudio.com and you can get your tickets there. It'd be great to see you all. Looking forward to this one.
It'd be wonderful to see you. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to Matthew. It's been interesting too because there's a few questions I asked Janet to get myself prepared for Matthew, and I'm curious to hear Matthew's responses back from what Janet said. So it's going to be some interesting contrast because Matthew's worked with Tom Baker and Peter Davison and Lala Ward, and through a very turbulent time, and John Nathan Turner coming and Tom being forced out, and yeah, I'm very excited to hear the whole story of all that from Matthew's mouth. And what we had on the program, he's really thoughtful, very intelligent. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to some of his considered answers and looking at him from years in the future. So I'm very, very, very excited for Matthew.
So today we're going to be having a quick look at some of the releases from January that stood out to us from Big Finish. We're a little bit delayed on that. I do apologise. It's been a bit quiet on the podcast front over the last couple of weeks, but we are getting back to usual service at the moment. We also have a guest coming on to join us this week, and that is Rob Valentine. He's the script editor and one of the writers for the new Fugitive Doctor box set, Most Wanted. So we're going to talk to him about that and get his thoughts on that particular range. So that'll be fascinating, Philip, to get Rob Valentine. He's one of our most returning guests. So I'm glad he keeps coming back.
Oh, yes, and can I say we could keep getting him back because there was something else happening this month. I was thinking, we could talk to Rob about that. So, yeah, he keeps
very
writing
busy,
too much and he's very busy at the moment and doing some great work.
All right, so we'll get to that after we go through our stories for the month. But before we do that, there's one thing we've got to do, Philip. You know what?
No, I've forgotten. What do we do next?
Yeah, I know. It's been so long. We've got to jump down the rabbit hole. Let's go. Okay, a few things have happened since we've been together recording, Philip, and I guess I could ask you about the most recent trailer for Doctor Who. Have you had a chance to see that? Season 2, there's a big trailer that's just been released, and are you looking forward to it?
Okay, I have watched the trailer, but only once. I keep intending to go back. I started a new role at work this week, and so with Janet Fielding last weekend...
No excuses, Philip.
Oh, sorry, I'm just making excuses. So I really haven't had a chance to look at it properly. From what I saw, it looks amazing, but trailers can always look amazing, no matter how good or bad something is. And so I've actually worked out you can't trust trailer. The thing I've seen that's most interesting, which was a major spoiler, if we call them spoilers, or maybe it's a teaser, was the German. I saw some stuff from a German trailer that came out, which was very different, which had a shot of the Doctor and Companion being turned into cartoons. And that looked pretty amazing. So the German trailer looks even more interesting than the English one that came out. What was your impression of the trailer?
Well, I've only seen that first one, and now you've mentioned the German one, I might have to seek that out and have a look at it. However, I was not enamoured with the first season, so that is kind of secondary to all my other Doctor Who consumption at the moment. I've got season 7 on Blu-ray coming on the way, so I am very eagerly anticipating the arrival of that, seeing all those stories. Once again, I've been itching to watch them. Like I went to put Ambassadors of Death on the other day. I said, no, I've got to hold off. Got to wait for the Blu-ray. So very keenly anticipating that. More than anything, really. I guess, and The Savages as well is coming out in a few weeks' time. So I am a fan of the animations. I have enjoyed the animations that this particular company has done before, so I'm looking forward to The Savages. Not quite sure on their rendition of the First Doctor, but if I can watch the whole story as in motion, then I will, because I like The Savages. I rate it. It's a good story. So I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah, it won't be long for the new series starts, so it'll be interesting to see whether it very much just follows on from the first season, because they did basically the 2 seasons back to back. Or will we see some new things? Will we see a Dalek story for this Doctor or not? Will we have a regeneration at the end of the season? There's a few big issues that we're waiting to see. Yeah.
Yep. That's it. So all to come in the next month or two. All right. That was a quick one. Let's jump up out of the rabbit hole and we'll talk about some of the stories that stood out to us for the month. Now, there are some stories that you've heard that I haven't, and I've heard that you haven't. So that's good. So that'll give us a good mix for the month. I want to kick it off with the first release of 2025. I was looking forward to this very much. It's an audio novel called The Lord of Misrule, which features the Fourth Doctor, Romana 1, and Jago and Lightfoot. And as it's a audio novel, it's done by a reader, and that reader is John Coleshaw. And I think he does a fantastic job at all of the voices. I was particularly impressed by his Lightfoot. He gets Lightfoot very nicely throughout this. The thing with the audio novels, though, is that if you are a long-term audio drama listener, you're going to get a 1 hour, 2 hour, or 3 hour maximum if it's a 6-parter story. And that's what you commit to. But with an audio novel, you've got to commit to 9 hours, I think this one goes for. So it's broken into 6 parts. So it's episodic. So it's about an hour and a half for each episode. But you've really got to invest that time. And I don't know about you, Philip, but I don't find myself able to chop and change between stories. So I can't really listen to a bit of this and then listen to another story and then go back to this. I feel like I've got to try and get it all done in one go. How do you feel about the audio novels? Are you the same like that?
I am, and the reason why I haven't listened to this yet, I confess I haven't. I do have it, and I love John Colestra. I love Paul Morris. I love the Fourth Doctor, Romana and Jago and Lightfoot. So I do really want to listen to the story because I think it's going to be really great. But I just need to find enough time to do it, and this will be a whole week of listening, really, of me struggling. Yeah, and so I can't listen to anything else while I'm listening to this, and I just haven't put it aside, and so it's gone on the back burner. I could try and listen to it at 1.5 speed or 1.75, but I think that would be doing it a disservice.
Don't tell Nick Briggs.
Well, that's why I haven't done it. Not to tell Nick Briggs, but also because I do actually believe in the purity of the sound design, etc. I mean, with a normal novel which hasn't got a sound design behind it, I am happy to speed it up. But I think that I'm assuming this has an excellent sound design with it all, and
it does. It does.
So I need to listen to
that up.
And probably with headphones on. And so I've got to find. That's almost 2 weeks of listening probably at the moment because of my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'll get to it, but I mean, I love the cover. I think the cover's spectacular and it looks great. So, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did very much. And Paul Morris, I always love the last novel, audio novel type story that I listened to from Paul Morris would have been one of the stories from the Jago and Lightfoot season 14, which they did as audiobooks because before I can't remember the actor's name. Oh, Trevor Baxter, of course. Yeah, that was the season 14 that the scripts were written, but he unfortunately passed away. So they held that off, but still turned the series into audiobooks. So it was really good in that, and I always find Paul Morris's humour to be right up my alley. So I find myself laughing at a lot of his jokes. I sort of gel very much with his humour. So very good stuff.
I was going to say, I love his heightened language. And of course, since this came out, of course, Christopher Pendleton has passed on. So we've lost both Jago and Lightfoot now.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, the audio novels, The Lord of Misrule.
Smallpiece unlocked the door, and a figure moved into the shop. "Well, bless my soul!" exclaimed Jago. Behind him, Smallpiece slammed the door, causing a waft of fog to evaporate into the gaslit corners of the room. "You know this character?" he barked, indicating the Doctor. "If he's trouble, just say the word, I'll sort him out." He thrust his whiskery chin towards the Doctor pugnaciously. "Know him?" Jago said. "Why, this is one of my closest friends. And as for trouble, well, I can't deny trouble often accompanies him, eh? But he's the one sorting it out, not causing it. Aren't you, Doctor?"
"Thank you, Henry. A more staunch character witness I couldn't ask for."
Smallpiece was agog. "You're the Doctor?" He turned to Jago. "He's the Doctor? Well, why didn't you say so?" He clapped the Doctor on the shoulder. "Jago's told me all about you. This puts an entirely different complexion on things." He looked at the glowing cylinder fondly. "I can see I shall have to take a bath on this one. Oh, well." Jago looked confused at the exchange.
"We've been agreeing terms," beamed the Doctor. "What about you? Bit late to be out shopping?"
Jago's face clouded.
"I was looking for Lightfoot. You haven't seen him, either of you?"
"The Professor," said Smallpiece thoughtfully. "Not for a month or so. Only comes in here when he's on a case. Not like you."
"And we've only just arrived,"
said the Doctor.
"Romana and I,"
he added, to Jago's quizzical look.
"Miss Romana, eh?"
Jago's moustache bristled slightly, and he seemed imperceptibly to hold his head a little higher.
"Very fine woman, that,"
he added to Smallpiece. For Jago, he'd met her when they got involved in the case of the pugilist who had been stalking London. "What made you think Lightfoot might be here? More likely in the pub, I'd have thought."
"I've just come from there," huffed Jago.
He sighed, as if wrestling with a confidence.
You might as well know. He's not been himself. Depressed, you might say, but with a side order of erratic. Last I saw, he was charging off into the fog with a demented look in his eye.
He paused.
I know it doesn't sound much, but I'm worried. The state he's in. Someone could do him a mischief. Or he could do unto himself.
The doctor looked out into the impenetrable haze, lit only by a couple of dimly discernible gaslights.
I'd trust your instincts any day, Henry. Not a night for the aimless.
He opened the door.
Romana's out in that too.
She can look after herself, surely,
said Jago.
She and Lightfoot aren't the only ones out in the fog,
said the doctor darkly.
Somewhere there's a time vehicle with no rudder, and a nasty habit of disgorging visitors from the past.
Jago blinked.
A what?
This is the only thing that can fix it,
said the doctor, patting the cylinder.
Come on, you two. We've got a busy night ahead of us. We've got to find out who's behind this.
Smallpiece blinked.
Me too?
You too, old Smallpiece, said the doctor.
He clapped Jago on the shoulder conspiratorially.
I'm assuming you trust this reprobate Henry?
Oh, yes,
replied Jago.
Well, that is to say, he may be a crook, but he's no villain.
Good enough for me,
shouted the doctor, bounding to the door and flinging it open. Come on.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
So let's move on to the First Doctor Adventures release, Stephen Noonan release, and Lauren Cornelius as Dodo, featuring the return of Peter Purvis in The Living Darkness. So last year we had Maureen O'Brien coming back in playing her current age physically, and in this one Peter Purvis does the same thing. Now I know you and I have both listened to this, so give us a rundown on your thoughts on The Living Darkness, Philip.
In terms of positives, I think the performances are just amazing. Peter Purvis has the first episode to himself, basically, which I think is really fantastic because it really gets to bring Stephen back. And I think I love Peter Purvis and the opportunity for him to just be the centre of this mystery, sort of where the story's taking place. Won't give away any spoilers, but where it's taking place, what's going on. It's a bit of a mystery. He doesn't really know where he is at first. The other characters don't really know who they are. And it's the whole exploration of normal episode 1 of Black and White Doctor Who, of the whole discovery where we are. And then the Doctor enters the fray. Stephen Noonan, as always, just does an amazing performance of the First Doctor. Every time he comes back, I just love what he does. I love his work. His care on the First Doctor, his love for the First Doctor just shines through. And I thought he and Peter Purvis just worked so well together, both in terms of the warmth, but also in terms of the friction, which I thought was just lovely. So, and all the characters in terms of the whole group acting together, I thought was really cleverly done. So they're the main positives. Great story, really worth listening to. I think my big whinge I'm having at the moment is I think these stories are just too long. I think I've said to you before, okay. I still think the right length for Doctor Who's story is 50 minutes. So I would have preferred this to have been 3 1-hour stories rather than one extended 6-part story, which I just felt was a bit too long. It's not that it wasn't engaging. Once again, I'm jumping in and out of cars and I want to listen to bits and pieces. And I want to get through stories. And just like I couldn't invest in a 9-hour book, I'm actually finding it hard to invest in a 3-hour story because I can't listen to it in one go, and I'd like to listen to a story in a go and get through it in a day. And this took me in and out 4 or 5 days, and I forget things because I'm getting old. So I'm really partial. And I've just finished the latest John Cole show this week, which was 7 episodes, and I just thought it's just too long. I just want short, bite-sized pieces, but that's me. That's my personal preference. I love these characters together. I love the actors, but I really think I would have preferred just 3 stories with the Doctor and Stephen and Dodo. rather than one drawn-out story. And maybe there's economic reasons for doing it. Maybe it's because they want to try and get back to the feel. But I don't know. What was your impression of this story?
Well, I agree with you, particularly since it's only one story coming out in the First Doctor Adventures range for the year. I mean, that's not enough. I mean, we've got other stories that have been announced. Well, there's another First Doctor story featuring Stephen Noonan coming out next month, I think it is. The Family's Short Trip. Is it Family's Short Trips? No, Companion Chronicles. That's the style of the Companion Chronicles. And that's called Families. So there's a couple of stories there where he's featured, which is good. So, and that comes to my little nitpick with this story. I echo everything you said. Performances, Peter Purvis, fantastic. But this is a First Doctor story. There's not enough of the First Doctor. If I'm going in to listen to this Doctor, I want to hear the Doctor. And, I mean, he's not in the first episode at all. And the rest of it is very, very scattered throughout. So for my personal taste, if I want a Doctor Who story, I want the Doctor. And I don't think the Doctor was in this one enough. That's my only bugbear with this one. Apart from that, everything else was fantastic.
Yeah, and you get to know the Doctor through their adventures. And if they're only having one adventure a year, you really don't feel like you ignore them. Whereas even if you just had three different stories, so we'd had a future, a past, just a scattering of adventures, I just think you get to know the Doctor better. And I just think people people warm even more to the portrayal that Stephen's doing. So but anyhow, that's maybe it's just personal preference. Don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's not just you.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who: The First Doctor Adventures, The Living Darkness.
Please return to quarantine. It is for your own good. We have your best interests at heart.
None of this is for my own good.
Taunt me with the voices of my friends, would you? First Susan, and now Stephen. But I won't stand for it, you hear?
Doctor?
I seem to be bouncing around in time and space for some reason. And believe you me, if I could leave, I would.
It's a dog.
You're with friends.
Everyone, I'd like you to meet the Doctor, a fellow prisoner and a very old friend.
I think that must be the ship's name. Saudade.
I've heard that word before.
Our captors are collectors then. We're just part of their solar system exhibit?
We don't know. We don't know where we are. We don't know where we're going.
Please do not be alarmed. This is for your own good.
They know we're here! They're coming for us! Yes. Unfortunately, I think you may very well be right. I think our only option is to get off this ship. We must hope it lands before they reach us.
We only want what is best for you.
No. Stay away from me. Stay away from me!
Stephen Taylor.
What? Who said that?
You have failed selection. I will now delete your brain.
No! This can't be the end! It can't! Doctor!
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
Doctor, I've got a bone to pick with you.
Let's move on to another release that I've only started listening to. I don't know if you got all the way through, but this is Zygon Sentry Infiltration. Give us your thoughts on this one, because it's an unusual beast.
It is from
what I can hear.
It is a very unusual beast. So it's three Zygon stories connected, but in three different eras. And it's bleak. I found it very bleak. So I don't think I approached it quite knowing what to expect, and so I'm not quite sure where it came out of. And there's some more releases coming this later in the year, which are a similar format. So I think I might hit them a bit better because I know what to expect a bit better. I've only listened to the first two stories. I actually didn't get to the third one, which is probably a shame because that's the one which actually has the Doctor in it. I assume because he's on the cover. I don't know he's in the third one, but I'm assuming Michael Troughton is playing the second Doctor in the third story because he didn't appear in the first couple. It was enjoyable. I guess these are the modern era Zygons, and they're not quite the same as the classic Zygons. It was It was okay. So what happens have you listened to?
I've listened to most of the first episode, so yeah, still working my way through them. I'm actually on that right now. But yeah, it's quite the way it's done too is quite interesting. Sort of all over the place. You're sort of having to guess what's going on. It's not really everything's not exactly spelled out for you. So it's
yeah. I suspect having not listened to the final episode yet, it really hasn't come together yet, and that's possibly my fault.
And I guess that's what'll happen when we get to the end. It will come together.
I hope so, but at the moment, it is just a bit all over the place.
And the classic Zygons are better. They just are. They're much better.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Let's now. This is one that you would have heard, but I haven't heard at all, and that's the Torchwood release for the month, Yanto's Inferno, written by Roland Moore, who I always rate as a very good writer. What were your thoughts on this one?
I love it. It's just 3 characters, and they're caught in a stairwell. So it's a low budget audio. But it just takes place basically the entire thing in a stairwell, which just goes on forever. It goes up forever and down forever. It's sort of Escher's artwork that never ends. And what can you affect and how do you escape? But it really is a very, very strong character piece. And Yanto has a really strong role. And you're trying to work out where in Yanto's live stream it comes, because Yanto is a character in Torchwood. Started off not being particularly liked or respected. He had his girlfriend hidden as a cyberwoman downstairs. They kill her. That causes a bit of friction, but eventually he becomes part of the team. And so it actually felt like it was quite early on, but actually you come to realize, oh, hang on, there's more going on here. So it's a lovely exploration of character. Having only 3 characters meant you get to look really in depth. It gets quite chilling at times, but certainly this is back to a form of really excellent Torchwood. For a long time, Torchwood every month was some of my favourite releases. This is going back to that sort of, yes, it's a classic Torchwood. It's inventive. It's only 3 characters. It's, yeah, I don't want to say more because I don't want to create spoilers. Really, this would be one worth getting though. If you're not sure what to get this month, this would be high on my list to get.
And January is always Yanto month, isn't it? Seems to be over the last few
years.
There's
a lot of Yanto. There's a lot of we've had a lot of Yanto recently, actually. Gareth David Lloyd is just magnificent. So I'd actually like to see him on stage live, because I believe he's a superb actor on stage as well. So I'm hoping, maybe when I'm over the UK later in the year, he'll be in something. I'm hoping to see lots of theatre when I'm over in December. So he's one of the ones I'm hoping to see on stage.
Got room in your suitcase?
What, to bring him back with me or take you with me?
To take me.
Well, here's to our deal, Yanto Jones.
Yes, here's to our deal.
From Big Finish Productions, Torchwood, Yanto's Inferno.
But we want to have a look at what else you've got before we decide on what to trade.
Great. That's what I expected. Well, bring your crisps and let me take you to Torchwood.
Van's on the 3rd floor.
And it's only a short drive to the archive.
So why are you betraying your mates then?
Betraying? That's a word, isn't it? Yes, I suppose I am. You sure this is the ground floor?
What?
Only, if this is the bottom, why are there loads more flights of stairs going down?
Okay, that's impossible.
Can't even see the top. Or the bottom. This car park has 5 stories. That should be 5 flights of stairs, and we should be able to see all the way up. And down. But we can't.
This place. It's a trap, isn't it?
What was that?
We came from further up.
Something's in here with us.
Big Finish. For the love of stories.
All right, let's move on to the next one, and that is the classic Doctor's New Monsters box set, volume 5. This one they've called Faithful Friends. So a very exciting title for the box set, just for you, Philip. There's four stories in there, 2 written by John Dorney. So story 1 and story 3 both feature the Krillatane. And the second story, The Dying Breed by Tim Foley, features the Lupari, so the dog from Flux. Those aliens. Flux, yeah. And the last story is 500 Ways to Leave Your Lover, and that is again by Tim Foley, and that features the monks. So for me, I think this was a bit of a mixed bag. I loved the Dorney stories, the Krillatane stories. I really loved them. Particularly the first one, the Krillatane Faint, I thought that was awesome. Getting the second Doctor, Jamie and Zoe, together pre-season 6, or pre-War Games, I should say. So season 6, I thought that was really good, and I was very much enjoying that by the end. The Lupari, because I'm not enamoured with Flux at all, and I don't really connect with that particular monster, so that really didn't do much for me. Krillatane Relic was fantastic again. Who was the Doctor there? Oh yeah, the seventh Doctor
with Ray.
Fantastic with Ray. Yes, so we've got some Ray stories coming up, but this was the first appearance of Ray. So hopefully we'll find out. Did we find out in that story how Ray got into the TARDIS, or was she just there?
Just there.
So that's yet to come.
Yeah, like the Seventh Doctor travelling with Harry and Naomi. It took 3 or 4 years before we actually found out what the heck was going on. I suspect we're going to not find out what's going on here.
I hope it's a bit quicker to find out about Ray.
Yeah, well, I think there's Ray stories coming up this year.
And the monks. I remember you saying a few things to me about the monks. They're a monster that you're still not quite sure what they're all about, Philip.
No, I still don't get them. They're too clever for me, obviously. I do actually I'd be mean to go back to watch season 10 and watch those 3 monk episodes again, because I probably I would have seen them twice, but I've only watched bits of season 10, and I think season 10 is Peter Capaldi's best season. I don't know. I love season 10, but for some reason the monk stories I kind of missed, and the Eaters of Light. There's sort of 4 stories in there that I've watched both ends a lot more than I've watched the middle. I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but it
I'm
has.
the same.
Yeah. So in terms of me, I mean, this is the only release this month which actually has original Doctors in it. So there's actually a lacking of original Doctors, which may or may not matter. I don't know whether it's to people's taste or not. And like you, I actually found it was actually the story without the original Doctor, with Michael Troughton playing the second Doctor, which I enjoyed the most. John Dorney, I must admit, it's a John Dorney story. I'm now listening out for what's the trick going to be, because I know John Dorney's going to do something with my expectations, because he always does. And so I was suddenly waiting, how is he going to try and confound my expectations this time? And so I was listening out for it, and I got it before it was revealed. So I was thinking, yes, finally I've beaten John Dorney. But he's written it really well, and of course the third story does link back to the first story as well. So there's that very clever link. And some lovely work with Wendy Padbury and Fraser Hines. So it was really lovely, just their performances. Michael Troughton does a great job, but so does Sylvester McCoy as well. And yeah, like you, I guess to me the Looper were never really explained properly in the Flux. That every human being has a dog that protects them. I had issues with the whole doggy thing in the first place, and this didn't really help me understand them any better. I mean, I did love Tom Baker's performance. Was anything
explained in Flux?
No. I mean, the whole thing was, like we were saying with the Zygon one earlier, where you kept thinking in the last episode it will all make sense, and then you got to the last episode and went, they explained nothing. Which was just major disappointment. Well, once again, maybe I'm not as smart people out there. Maybe our listeners can tell me what was going on in the Flux, and it does all make sense at the end. But to me, it was just all these wonderful setups and nothing paid off. And I guess I felt a bit like that with The Dying Breed. Tim Foley, I usually adore all his writings. I thought the 500 Ways to Leave Your Lover had some very clever elements to it all, but to me, the two John Dorney stories really stood out as the highlight of the set.
From Big Finish Productions, The Worlds of Doctor Who. Classic Doctors, New Monsters. Faithful Friends.
Gather round, my cubs. Tonight, I tell you the tale of what happened here.
If you are the creatures that injured my brother, you will be ripped apart like the animals you are.
The destiny of the Lupari hangs in the balance.
Now that does sound ominous.
We're really in the lunar spa.
Not just a lunar spa, the lunar spa. You and the doctor are booked in for the full couples treatment.
I think we may have company. Figures in red. They're the monks.
The groom is near. He cannot escape.
Your skin, it's grey and cracked.
We require the truth.
Hello? I'm called the Doctor, and you're in a lot of trouble.
Another mutation. The famous Krillitane pens. How many would you say you had here?
Just a few hundred.
Hands in the air, now!
Oh dear. Not a good start, is it?
Does this sort of thing often happen to you?
Rather frequently.
What's going on here, Magda?
I don't know. But cryogenic facility. I wonder what Zoe's doing here.
So she's what? Undercover? Lying?
I don't know. Oh, Ray. I think I might have just made a terrible mistake.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
Let's move on to a story that we have both listened to. It's a box set, which is one continuous story. And that is a new property that Big Finish has the rights to, and that is Visitation. And you haven't seen the TV series. I have seen some of the TV series, particularly the first miniseries and some of the early episodes. But I want to hear your feedback on what you thought as a newcomer to the V sort of saga. What were your thoughts on this?
Well, bizarrely enough, I think this was the best release of the whole month. So this was the one that most engaged me in terms of storytelling and acting and its pace. So I knew V from the ads. I've got vague memories of people with sunglasses and tongues coming out that are forked, but that's just from ads. I had no idea what this story was about. And this audio caught me from the very beginning. And it was done through news stories and so many characters. And I must admit, it started with so many characters. I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to follow this. There's too many characters. And yet, by the end, I knew exactly what was going on, who everyone was. I was feeling connected to characters. But this is just the pace of this story. It just drives and drives and drives and builds suspense. So the whole first episode is the whole coming of the aliens. Who are they? And then what goes on from there. And it has so much to say with life today, in society today, with what leadership should look like, with the people in social media, what is truth, what isn't truth. The things it has to say about our modern society were just profound. And so I was just engrossed by the story the whole time through, driven by the plot, driven by the characters. It also had that deeper level which you could or couldn't engage with. And for me, the pick of the month, which I can't believe, I'm saying V, because at the start of the month, I wasn't even sure I was going to listen to this or get it. But Big Finish just showed everything in terms of when they pull everything together with direction and casting and sound design. And as I said, I think it's Johnny Morris, isn't it? It's our friend Johnny, I think.
Yeah.
Is that right? He's done the most amazing job. And so I know nothing about this story, but I can't wait to hear what happens next. And I'm hanging out for the next episode because these are characters that I really want to know what's going to happen to the next. because I'm just so caught up. And I'm caught up not with just the humans, but with the aliens too, because they've got real drives and characteristics as well, and stuff I don't really understand what's going on, but boy, I'm intrigued. So what about someone who's watched this miniseries? How did you find it?
Well, I knew before going into this that this was going to be a modern retelling of the same story that we saw before. So I came into it, I'd seen some skepticism online, and I've got to admit that I felt that skepticism myself. And I thought, oh, they're going to put in modern stuff, and they're going to be, going on about Brexit and COVID and all that, which a couple of the little things were dropped in, but it wasn't overdone. I didn't think it was overdone. I thought it was done right. I was totally impressed. And of course, the setting has gone from the United States to the UK, so that's a different setting as well. The old man character who was Jewish in the original V television series has now been an African man who's gone through, I think it was gone through apartheid. Had he? Is that? Yeah. So he'd gone through that.
He'd been imprisoned and tortured and escaped from apartheid from South Africa.
Yeah. So I thought that was done really, really sensitively by Johnny and really well. And, also, adapted for audio too. There are things about V, the TV series, like any TV series that Big Finish does, that are very visual, but they managed to capture that visualness on the audio medium perfectly. And I very, very much enjoyed it. So I think I might be tempted to agree with you that this was the best release for January from Big Finish. I think I do agree.
Bizarre, isn't it? But there you go.
They've stopped.
Mike, look up.
But the government forces wouldn't call off their attack, not without good reason.
There's a reason, all right. Look up.
It must be over 10 miles wide, made of some sort of silver metal.
It's like the best special effects ever.
Now we know how the indigenous people felt at the first sight of the conquistador ship.
Whoever they are, they've been observing us for a very, very long time.
My name is John. We have come because we need your help.
My name is Diana. I am the commander of the mothership above you.
2 weeks ago, I received an email inviting me to be part of the conspiracy.
You believe all this? About a conspiracy?
Of course. I mean, it all fits, doesn't it? Scientists thinking they know best.
Anyway, we don't have anything to worry about, do we? I mean, you're not a scientist. I'm not a scientist.
We must help this family, or else we haven't learned a thing.
From Big Finish Productions, VUK, Visitation.
What are these rodents called again?
Guinea pigs, Commander.
Final release for the month was the Fugitive Doctor box set. We were eagerly anticipating this after Jo Martin's appearance in Once and Future Coda a few months ago. I enjoyed that performance. I enjoyed her bouncing off Jonathan Carley's War Doctor in that particular story, so I was keen to get into this one. Let me start with you, Philip. What were your thoughts on this set?
Well, obviously, a lot of my views and my opinions of it came through in the interview we did with Rob Valentine. So I'm happy just to throw to the interview, unless there's any you want to say beforehand before we go to the interview.
Well, I will say one thing on the box set, and that I think this is most definitely designed for fans of Jo Martin, the Fugitive Doctor. So if you're a fan of that particular Doctor, you're gonna love this. You're absolutely gonna love this. I don't think this is for everyone though, and I don't think it's made for everyone, which personally I think could be a mistake. I think it should be made or attempted to be made for everyone. Whether that's possible to do with a character like the Fugitive Doctor, with the story arc that she's got from the TV series that they're playing with, I don't know whether that's possible. So for me personally, this may not be a series for me, but for plenty of people, it is. So, and as usual, it's fantastically done. Great performances throughout. Sound design fantastic. So thumbs up for all of that. But yeah, I think some people are going to love this. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, and I'm one of them, and I think you'll hear that coming through the interview because I really liked where this was going. And I thought it was very inventive, and Joe Martin's performance. Joe Martin was one of the highlights of the Jodie era. As soon as she appeared on screen, she just had presence, and I've always enjoyed what she's brought to the stage.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we were privileged to speak once again with Rob Valentine. Always a pleasure talking to Rob and getting his thoughts on things. So let's cross over to our chat with him on The Fugitive Doctor.
So one of the hotly anticipated releases for, it feels like ages this was released, this year is The Fugitive Doctor first box set. And we're very privileged to have one of the writers of the writer of the first story and the script editor of the whole range with us, Rob Valentine. Rob, welcome back to Sirens of Audio.
Hey, thank you very much indeed. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing really well, thank you. So I've been looking forward to this since it was announced, and I think it was like 18 months ago it was probably announced, was it? In LA? I think maybe it was longer than that.
I think it's been a couple of years, I think.
Wow. So how was it you got handed, how did you get handed the reins of looking after this release?
Really simply, David Richardson emailed me and asked me if I wanted to script edit it, and immediately I said yes. And then we're in business, and so the first step was we need to talk to Chris Chibnall because we need to understand this character, where they fit in, do they fit in, and all that stuff, so we can just get on with working out the kind of what the series is going to be about and all the other stories.
How long did you meet with Chris, and what was that discussion like?
I remember the discussion. How long? It was a long time ago. I think it was before The Power of the Doctor, even. So it was anyway. Yeah, time I don't know, but I remember the conversation very well because basically David and I, what we wanted to know was, if the Fugitive is a pre-Hartnell Doctor, why does she have a police box as a TARDIS? And we had a few other questions as well, and it never really kind of come across to me from the TV series that strongly, but talking to Chris, it was just hugely helpful when he explained that, he's a huge fan of The Prisoner and he's a huge fan of Twin Peaks. And so the whole idea of the character is, like number 6 in The Prisoner, the Patrick McGowan 60s TV series is, you must never know who he is or what number 2 wants out of him, because the moment you explain it, you kind of kill the concept. And like again with Twin Peaks, as soon as they revealed who killed Laura Palmer, the show kind of dies a bit, and so you want that kind of utterly inexplicable mystery of the Red Room and the little midget and the one-armed man and Bob and all that stuff, and you want just the ongoing incongruity of this Doctor. And so it was good. So talking to Chris was it was from that moment that we kind of realized, I get it. The Fugitive Doctor doesn't fit into the timeline intentionally. She's the Joker in the pack. She's not part of any suit or anything like that. She's absolutely Patrick McGowan in The Prisoner. And that was kind of our starting off point because that was Chris Chibnall's idea of the character, an Nth Doctor, really. And I thought it would be a crime and really reductive if then Big Finish were to kind of impose a place for her, like saying, okay, we're going to decide she's pre-Hartnell, or we're going to decide she's 6B. She's meant to be a mystery.
In the extras, you refer to the conversation that you had with Chris, and you started by Chris, you quoted Chris as saying, well, I think she's, and you stopped.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to ask you to go on from there, but are you going to take the series in a direction that he envisioned the character to go, or because of the type of character it is, are you virtually got free reign to go where you want to go with it? You and David?
We have free reign, but I kind of feel that free reign in that you must stay true to the idea of the character and find a structure, a story structure and a series structure that complements the character. And the reason I kind of stopped there with, in terms of what Chris said, well, I think that, his next two words were, well, I think she is probably. That was kind of where he went after that. But the point is, what Chris thinks is irrelevant because he's deliberately, I think she was designed in part to create fan discussion. But it's a fan discussion that like a J.J. Abrams mystery box. It's fan discussion that deliberately doesn't have an answer. So really, I kind of thought, well, basically, she's the fugitive doctor. She's the fugitive. She's Dr. Richard Kimball. So she needs she needs her U.S. Marshal Sam Gerard to be chasing her, and because she's on the run, she can't have a companion. But actually, the Sam Gerard figure, the character who's chasing her, is the companion. So it's basically Doctor Who. It's about an eccentric time traveler who travels around helping people. It's just that this version of the show is more like the A-Team or any of those kind of 70s or Stairway to Heaven. One of these people who isn't allowed to stop traveling because they're on the run, but wherever they go, they help people. And that's it, really. It was just it's all Doctor Who, so it all has to do Doctor Who stuff. It's just that because she's that kind of character, that shape of show just seemed the most fitting, really. It's less about what you want to do with an idea. Sometimes I think the idea kind of tells you, no, this is the kind of thing I need as an idea to flourish.
Okay, it's a really fascinating idea, and I just want to drill a little bit deeper because it's not what Doctor Who fans would expect. I guess they like things in some ways wrapped up a bit more. Even though I guess the Doctor's always been a mystery. So, in terms of, did Chris himself actually believe he knew how this character fitted, but isn't telling people, or did he just create the character? And he's just happy for anyone to own it any way they want.
No, it's neither of those. His idea. As far as again, I might not be right about. I might have misunderstood him. I don't know, but as far as I understand, the idea of the character is that she doesn't fit in. She's designed to annoy. She seems pre-Hartnell. That would make sense, but then she's got the police box, which suddenly doesn't make sense. It's deliberate. Yeah. It's not. It's there are many different kinds of fans, and that idea of the character will inherently annoy the kind of the train spotter, the categorizing side of Doctor Who fans. But you just have to understand. It's easier, I think, if you know The Prisoner, you know Twin Peaks. She's designed to be. It would be much easier if she was just called the Nth Doctor, But even then, that would suggest, although she's not part of the timeline. But the whole idea is, well, she could be. That's the point. She's designed to either be fascinating or irritating, depending on how you like your Doctor Who. And if you need people to fit in, and if you need to know where to put the future Doctor figure on your shelf, she will annoy you unless you. But really, you don't put her on the shelf. You just put her by the washing machine or something. You put her somewhere else, or you move her about because it's a character designed to not fit, and that's his intention. So yeah, that's
just thinking about the Prisoner for a moment. If you're using that as a comparison, I love The Prisoner and the journey all the way through. I'm talking the TV series here. But when I get to episode 17, I'm as annoyed as heck and confused as hell because I assumed it was going to wrap up. Is that where you're taking us? Should we expect to have that same feeling with The Fugitive Doctor?
No, because I don't like that feeling. And the writer of The Fugitive, it ended up that way because Patrick McGowan kind of took over, and The Fugitive was never meant to go on that long, and it just ends like I kind of pile that together with the David Niven Casino Royale as like a late 1960s pop art mess that doesn't mean anything. So no, really it's kind of more the side of the street that appeals to me is more the kind of the Dale Cooper Twin Peaks side of things, but also just really getting back to the fact that that as soon as you supply answers you with an idea like that. I mean, there is the idea that that Number 6 is Patrick McGowan's character from Danger Man. And that's a fun theory, but if you were to actually explicitly state that, you kill the mystery. So it's these things are fascinating to talk about, but the thing is, really, it all boils down to a mysterious, eccentric time traveler traveling around the universe in time and space in a police box, helping people. And if that's and there comes a point in my thinking about it where I think if you suddenly decide that that's not enough for you, I have terrible news about the entirety of Doctor Who, because that's what it really is. When you actually you chuck out all the baggage and all the stuff that fans like to get entrenched in, and the stuff we spend lots of time having really fascinating discussions talking about. But on some level, you have to with a character who's designed like the Fugitive Doctor, like Number 6. It's tortoises all the way down, as Terry Pratchett might put it. You know, it's you can't get to the end of the mystery, or you kill the series. It's like Niles and Daphne can't consummate their feelings because you kill Frasier. You know, it's one of those things.
There's little morsels you throw out though, because at one stage I thought you actually were going to give us a location, because there's a little throwaway comment about the Chameleon Circus and the circuit and the TARDIS, and a predilection to the police box, and then it doesn't go where I thought it was going to go. So there's little morsels like that all the way through, which made me smile, and then I went, oh, bother. Like, it felt like you were going to give us a clue and then took it away from us, like snatched away, which actually kept me quite engaged.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's a kind of the cruel trick of it, is that, probably as we, if we get to do more of these, and I'm fairly confident we shall, because it's selling well and Joe Martin enjoyed doing it. But I kind of think, you've got to sow clues all the way through that point in different directions. That's the only thing to do with a character like this, is you either ignore the continuity and you just get on with the story at hand, like what's she doing this in this story, what's her problem today, or you just you plant signposts all pointing in different directions if you want to have some fun with that kind of Twin Peaksy prisoner kind of, just the endless questions and no answers and false leads and stuff like that. And if you don't find that fun, you're in trouble.
I think it's actually quite like the Fugitive TV show more than the movie. I mean, the movie does it, but the TV show is every episode he's on the run. Kimball's on the run, but he does good, and you can't work out what he could possibly have done that's wrong that would lead to the chase that's happening. And so the three stories that are in this box set, each one, the Doctor's being the Doctor, where she arrives, and it's not making sense why she's being hunted. I mean, once again, what is Section 31? What's going on there? Why is she being hunted? That's all being kept deliberately away from us as well. So, I mean, it's made me anticipate the next box set, because I'm hoping there probably won't be. I'm hoping for more answers, but what is driving is the fact that you're always trying to put the pieces together.
No, exactly. And because The Fugitive is such a sort of a source text for this one, you can only go on the run for so long before you start wanting to, hang on a minute, I need to find the one-armed man now. So that's kind of, there are certain things about, The Fugitive, and the structure of The Fugitive that kind of suggest how we're going to move forward. But the point is, the thing is, there's a limit to what you can explain just by Chris Chibnall's design, because the moment you do so, it becomes less interesting. So but again, the way to deal with that is to give the problem to the character, because I think the Doctor finds it infinitely and endlessly frustrating as well. So it's more things will be revealed, but I think like Twin Peaks, there's always going to be just further mysteries and further questions over the hill. So I kind of think there has to be. But it's all about character, and it's all about really the relationship between the Doctor and Cosmo, because that's the interesting character. Everything else is kind of fan mystery baggage, but in terms of human drama, the fun thing is the relationship between the person who's on the run and the person who's chasing them. That's kind of the dramatic approach from a storytelling point of view.
Who decided who the writers were going to be? And I mean, you did the first story, but as script editor, did you choose other writers? Was that David Richardson, or was it you and him together?
It's usually us together. We kind of throw a list of suggestions. But then the other thing, the big decider is availability. You ask people; they're either free, they're not free. Fortunately, I think everyone we asked was free or made themselves available because it was an exciting project to work on. But it's often a conversation between script editor and producer, and also whoever might have recently written something good for you. They're always kind of fresh in your memory as well. But that's generally the way it works. Again, it was probably about 2.5, if not 3 years ago now, or something.
It was recorded over 2 years ago.
Yeah,
it was recorded in January 2023.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm fairly sure we were kind of hatching all this still when we were still locked down. I think all business was conducted by Zoom at the time. So it was a devil of a long time ago. But I think what usually happens is David will have suggestions, I'll have suggestions. And you tend to go from there. Then you just ask around and see who's free and up for it.
Do you know why the decision was taken to wait 2 years before release, or that's not your decision?
And I think my understanding was that the Fugitive Doctor, the Sacha Dhawan Master series, Call Me Master, and the 13th Doctor Adventures, I think they were all... Again, no one necessarily bothers to tell me, I'm the script editor, but I just, through osmosis, I just got the impression that they were all going to be released after the Jodie Whittaker era had ended, and possibly after the first series of Shooty Gatwa's series had also. So I just kind of think, I think 2025 was always the year that all three were going to come out, I think. It was just David Richardson being very efficient and just getting them recorded nice and early, like a good producer should. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the three stories? What about, in terms of your first story, the Fast Times, the whole idea of that being captured by Pouncey, had the characters that were there. How come you came up with that idea, or where did it come from?
Well, I think with Roshana Patel's story, The Legend of Baba Yaga, and with Lisa McMullen's story, The Dimension of Lost Things, I think we just let them, pitch some ideas, and we kind of chose those ones. David Richardson basically told me, look, yours is going to be like The Chase, and it's going to have the Daleks in it. So I kind of, I was given a brief, which is it's a helpful thing to have, actually. But my story kind of had to do what an opening story of a brand new series has to do, which is introduce the main character and make clear very quickly set up the premise of the show going forward, what the new character is like, and basically bring all the pieces onto the board so that the series proper can begin afterwards. So my job was to introduce the new Doctor, sort of introduce Division, or the Division, because it's never the same between sentences. Even the name Division is... Chris Chibnall kind of said this in our meeting, sometimes it's referred to as Division, sometimes as the Division, and no clue why. It just is, and another just tiny little mystery to make it seem a bit odder. But anyway, so set up the Division, introduce the Fugitive Doctor, and introduce her Sam Gerard character in Cosmo, who's the Time Lord detective who's sent to go after her, and then just show her in action, show her what she's like with the Daleks, and show her relationship with them, and also just demonstrate that she wants to kind of look out for number one, but she can't because she cares about everyone and she does good in the world, So she's the Doctor whether she likes it or not, and I think that's probably the thing about the Fugitive Doctor. That's probably the pitch. If you're going to pitch her in one line, that's it. Her life would be much easier if she didn't care, but she does. And so my job was to set up all that stuff in a sort of a chase prison escape kind of way that doesn't stop the breath really. And so that was the gig. If I get to do another one, and probably when you're script editing, it does help to write one episode yourself, just to help kind of guide the direction of the show. and all that. So I think next time I'd like a bit more free reign just to do a kind of a different kind of Fugitive Doctor story that isn't necessarily having to kind of carry the weight of setting up the series, really. Yeah.
So did you write your script first and hand it to the other writers so they could all see where it was going?
Oh no, there's never time for that. No, you just kind of you let them know what you're doing, and you all write in tandem, in parallel as much as possible, so that all the scripts are ready at the same time. But as script editor, you're there to kind of just to make sure that they all fit. Part of your job is to try to make sure that they all feel like they're part of the same show. They all kind of make sense once they're all kind of lined up together, and that they all fit. So really, I think we all wrote in parallel, and I was just very delighted to get Rosh's story and Lisa's story. And because although you have plans for the series, one of the nice things is being surprised with what the writers do come up with.
Mm. I mean, the Baba Yaga story I really loved. A bit of Rutherford, but also just the closest and the close person it was. Sometimes that's the lousy word. What's the word I want to use? It's a personal. That's it.
Oh yes,
I just loved how personal that story was, and once again, it felt like the Doctor had found a companion, but then sadly no. But off to other things. But the Baba Yaga I thought was brilliantly done and brilliantly cast.
Oh yes, it was phenomenally cast, and Roshana Patel is just one of my favourite writers. I work with her as much as I ever possibly can, and as much as she's ever free. It's a wonderful story, and that's part of the curse of the Fugitive Doctor is she can't really have companions because she's not living a life that's conducive to it. So even when she meets people who in other lives might have been someone you could take along with you, she can't. It's her curse, I think.
And just the other thing in terms of the dimension of lost things that amused me was the idea that there's a dimension where every time I lose a pen or lose my phone, or it's all gone to a particular place. So they're just constantly tripping over these items everywhere, which I just thought that was a beautiful image that they set up at the very beginning of that story.
Yeah, no, it's an enchanting idea. It's not just Zaphod Beeblebrox taking your biros; they end up here too. That was kind of a lovely conceit. No, I love Lisa's contribution to the series, The Dimension of Lost Things, and it was really great getting a couple of stories that could have that just feel like good Doctor Who stories that any Doctor could have. And that was one thing I was kind of happy about, was that Jo Martin gets to have Doctor Who stories that she gets to star in as the Doctor, essentially. So I do try to just refer to her as the Doctor, because she is the Doctor. It's just, so it would be nice over time if we, if just naturally, the Fugitive gets dropped a bit. But that'll just come with, I think, hopefully with just her getting to do more stories.
The fact that we need to keep the numbers with every, the fifth Doctor, the eighth Doctor, I'm not sure Fugitive will get dropped if we haven't got a number for her.
No, true. Well, we drop the numbers, in context and stuff. But to be honest though, even I'm someone who likes the Doctor to be 900 and something years old, and that's it. So the fact he's now, he, she, they are now thousands of years old, that annoys me for some reason. I just like the Doctor. I think the Doctor should just be permanently 900, because that's where I came in and that's what I was used to. But I just think with conversation, if you're just talking about her show, it would be nice if she just becomes the Doctor. But we'll see what happens. It's the kind of thing no one has any control over. It's just, I'm just glad she's getting more stories, really, where she gets to be the Doctor rather than a mysterious recurring character in another Doctor's life.
Yeah, and Jo Martin is spectacular. I mean, even when she appeared in The Fugitive of the Dragoon, she just immediately won over so many people because her performance was so great that she burst on being the Doctor immediately, which I thought was very powerful. Did you get to go to recordings? What was she actually like?
No, I got to listen in via clean feeds because it was post. It was post pandemic, I think, but it was still a period of time where it was they try not to let the writers come anyway, but it was that thing of having the writer along was just a risk, an unnecessary risk. Why bring another body in when they could be a disease carrier? So I listened in, and so just got to say hi briefly. But it's not the same as hanging out in the green room with people. But it was nevertheless really lovely to hear her perform my script. Which is one of the delights of being a writer. But I think now that the world is much more back into. We're all back in the studio now, so if we do get to do more, I look forward to a time where we can, just hang out in the sound house eating biscuits and waiting to be called in. So I think those days are back, but back then it was just just voices in my head, really. Unfortunately,
Alison Krieger was another amazing catch to get in terms of for Cosmo. Was that David that hunted her down?
Oh yeah, David emailed me to say, we've got Alice Krieger as Cosmo. And I thought, oh, wow, okay. And it's one of those moments you think, oh, Alice Krieger's going to be reading this. Oh, is it good enough? Is it good? I'm not sure. It was fine, but that was a really lovely coup to get her. And David's very good like that, and it also just it adds a bit of extra pedigree to the series as well. And I think you want someone kind of high profile with a bit of cool sci-fi baggage to play Cosmo, because they're the other main character. They're part antagonist, part sidekick, and so I'm really delighted that because we recorded both volumes together, and Cosmo has a very nice journey built in because U.S. Marshal Sam Gerard has a journey built in where you can't chase this fugitive for long before you're a very smart detective, and you start noticing, hang on, that all evidence is suggesting and demonstrating, and all my experience is showing me that this is a deep down decent good person I'm after. And I'm not entirely sure about the people who want me to catch her for them. So that all those kind of things. That's not a spoiler. That's just kind of that's built in. That's the kind of the inevitable journey that U.S. Marshal Sam Gerard goes on chasing the fugitive. And even in the A-Team, Colonel Decker, who's out to capture the A-Team, even kind of Decker, if I recall correctly, kind of gradually develops a bit of a soft spot for them. To be honest, it's one of those ideas that just kind of fits into all this kind of 1970s and 1980s kind of soldiers of fortune on the run kind of things. So David getting Alice Krieger for it, or as she pointed out, if you're pronouncing it correctly, the proper South African way, it's Alice Krieger. It's Crooker, apparently, but she's just grateful if in Hollywood they get Krieger right. So she's happy with Krieger, but that was an interesting thing, and that was kind of just. So I think we did get to chat a bit on Clean Feed, but I do miss the green room. I do, because that could have meant getting to hang out with her as well, maybe next time.
Well, I do think for people who've yet to listen to this, and it really is worth getting and listening to, I think the clues you gave at the beginning in terms of see it more as number 6 in the prison and approach it with that sort of idea of this is a mystery that's not going to be revealed is actually the best way to approach the 3 stories. So I wish I'd had that before I'd gone and listened to them, because I spent the whole time puzzling what the heck's going on, but it's actually a really helpful tool for the listener to go in and approach it like that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that was that's something I entirely got from talking to Chris Chibnall. It's not something I got. It's there in the TV show that she's inexplicable, but it's not pushed, and she doesn't have quite enough time on screen for that to be explored. But yeah, it was really helpful to me, and I think it's really what it does. It just helps it become a pure kind of Doctor Who, because in a way you have to kind of shy away from the extended baggage of Doctor Who, and all you're left with is a character on the run, being chased. They're inherently decent, and they can't stop helping people. Damn it, wherever they go, and that's the show. Because I like my Doctor Who as pure as possible. So we even, doing stuff like the Stuff of Legend last year, I could have, brought in a whole load of, continuity and stuff, but I don't like to. Ultimately, Doctor Who is about an eccentric time-traveling adventurer and his friends traveling around doing good. That's the show at its purest. Everything else is accumulated baggage. So it's actually really nice with the Fugitive Doctor Adventures for me to not worry about the extended Doctor Who universe, but it's just it's this Doctor in this moment, in their eternal now, just living their life and getting through these far out, trippy pop art situations that they kind of find themselves in. It's not unlike if we got to. I would love it if Big Finish could find someone who does a really good Peter Cushing, and if the rights could possibly be got. Actually, doing a Cushing Doctor series would be wonderful, but it wouldn't be too dissimilar in that it's its own thing, self-contained, because there is a kind of a bit of a metatextual bubble around it where you can't, if you try and get through it, the bubble will pop and it'll become less than it otherwise might be. And that's the thing. There might be the Fugitive Doctor might fit in somewhere extremely specific in the Doctor's timeline, because in universe they have to, really. But it's just that we can never know what it is, and no one answer would be satisfying, and a specific answer would be reductive because everyone has their own ideas. So it's that weird thing of. She definitely, emphatically, categorically does fit in somewhere, but that place can never be known because you're not meant to. And that's it. That's it. For a certain type of fan, that's maddening, and would probably make you want to smash up your toy collection or something. But if you can get on board with the kind of the bit more kind of out there ways of looking at Doctor Who in general, then I think that it helped me. It helped me talking to Chris anyway, because that's kind of it's the idea. It's it's the whole idea of if you clap your hands in a forest and there's no one to hear it kind of thing, and that's where she fits in.
Yeah, well, listen, it's a great set. I'm looking forward to the next one coming out. Thank you, Rob, for your time. It's been great talking to you again.
Oh, no, thanks, guys, very much indeed. I'll catch you soon.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The Fugitive Doctor, Most Wanted.
Let's take it from the top. I think perhaps I should introduce myself. I'm the Doctor.
You are no physician. Even your name is a lie.
I've lived a very long time, not necessarily in the right order.
She must be brought in, now, before she decides to run.
And basically, I know far more than anybody should.
Division must not be compromised.
I was an operative for the most powerful organisation in the universe.
All hail Division!
My own people are after me, and I don't know why.
My name's Cosmogon.
She must not be allowed to remember.
Not until we know what she knows.
I've got a trace on your TARDIS, Doctor. Fly as fast as you like. I can follow you to the far end of the vortex and back.
Thanks for the heads up. I'm about to begin a game of time tag. Ever played that?
They found me and they're in pursuit.
Oh, Baba Yaga! We are delighted to meet you.
I will devour you.
An endlessly spinning hut stood on giant hen's legs.
You are the Doctor! You are the enemy of the Daleks!
I'm trying to break the time vortex.
You pulled time and space apart just to escape me.
Hello, me. Hello, Doctor.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
Okay, Philip, so as I said, always good to talk to Rob Valentine.
Yeah, no, he's a great mate, and it's just good having a yak with Rob. And there's a few other things he's been doing recently that are really exciting. So,
well, I was very happy to be able to chat with him and tell him how much we both enjoyed the Stuff of Legend, because that was one of our highlights for the end of last year. Was getting the chance to hear the Stuff of Legend live. That was fantastic. It made my top 5 for releases for last year. So always good. We won't recommend anything because we've been talking a lot about releases from the month. So if there's anything that's grabbed your attention from what we've said for the month of January, grab those and have a listen to them. It's not going to be long, Philip, and we're going to have to get together for the February because we're a little bit behind on our monthly reviews.
Yes, I know. Well, I'm about to put in The Master to have a listen to that because I'm curious to see what Sacha Dhawan's box set of The Master. Is that February or is that... I think that's February.
Is it Master or Master?
The Master. What is it? Is it The Master?
Call me Master.
Call me Master. Yeah, very excited to listen to that. That's my listening tomorrow as I'm driving to work.
Cool. Excellent. All right. And as we gear up for Matthew Waterhouse in a couple of weeks' time, get over to sirensofaudio.com, get your tickets. We'd love to see you there. It's always lots of fun. Been getting lots of feedback. We released some footage of our events with Sylvester McCoy last week, and the comments from there have been fantastic. I might share some on the next episode. So
sounds like a good idea.
Thank you very much for those. And thank you, Philip, for being with me. It's a pleasure and a privilege, as always.
Oh, it's been a joy, Dwayne, as always.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you all next time.
Bye.
This has been the Sirens of Audio, looking back at the Big Finish releases for the month of January 2025 with our guest Rob Valentine and your hosts Philip Edney and Dwayne Bunny. Theme music by Joe Kramer. Catch up with all the latest info, including news on our live events at sirensofaudio.com. Got any feedback? Send it to sirensofaudio@gmail.com, or you can find us on all our social media at Audio Sirens. Thanks for listening, audiophiles. We'll hear you next time.